Recording in progress.
Okay, bye. Okay.
Okie dokie. Happy May, everybody.
Can't believe
Where's
it's
the
already
Justin
May.
Timberlake meme?
I don't know.
It's gonna be May.
We need
Oh,
it.
she's got her bowling duds on.
She's ready.
Ready to roll, should we say?
Yeah.
But
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good. It kept going back to mute.
Moot.
Oh,
Mute. Oh, I didn't forget.
It's a moot.
exactly, it's a moot point.
No, it wasn't. It was a very important point. It was, I don't see enough breakfast burritos on those tables being eaten.
I ate mine when I got here at 8:45.
They both had them already, so we're good.
And I told
All right.
We're gonna freeze some more and put some instructions up about, hey,
What was your event this weekend? Burrito event.
we had a shred event actually, and we bought breakfast burritos and stuff. We were gonna get a food truck, but they were too expensive. The minimums are too expensive right now.
They really are.
Like, they've gone up so much. One of them told us they had $1,000 minimum. And I'm like, I could buy a lot of Santiago's burritos before I spend $1,000. We did not spend anywhere near that, so.
No, and that was with Starbucks coffee and donuts and all kinds of things. So,
Wow.
Mara, is your friend with you or are you solo?
She's here. She's on the phone.
Okay. All right. So,
Mara.
What?
okay,
Nothing.
Nothing, she's been silly.
so we did buy a microphone for that room.
Yeah, it's right
But-
here.
Yes, so I hear you really well, but even still, Stephanie was a little tough back there. So
All right, well,
we might have to move those tables. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But anyway.
Yeah.
Or buy a more expensive microphone, but I don't really want to do that. So anyway, so tell me some good news, you guys, because I could use some this morning.
good news.
We have 26 offers on our Lakewood property.
26 offers on your Lakewood property. Well,
And
could you send one of them to Littleton?
sorry, I'm happy to give you the names of all of the agents that made us offers. If you want to reach out to them
There's some
and
really
that aren't
winning
winning, if you want to reach out to them and say, hey, we know you lost out on South Sim Street, but we have a great property.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that are not winning. But they also don't write great offers. Ironically, top offers are written by Compass and Keller Williams agents.
Huh.
Surprise.
Not
That
surprised.
is interesting. Did you have any offers from EXP?
We had a showing this morning, even though it was after the deadlines by an EXP agent, but no offers from EXP, mainly a lot of different Keller agents, a couple of Compass agents, and then a bunch of agents from places I've never heard of in a million years.
Little
Yeah.
independence, yeah.
So our highest offer right now is 505. Our list price was 425.
Oh, Lord.
But only some of the offers have appraisal gap. So I've gone back to the folks with the highest offers and said, if you want to be considered, I need an appraisal gap. Because I don't think this house will appraise for over. Everybody likes to tell me, oh, there won't be a problem. Well, of course it won't be a problem for you when it doesn't appraise, if you don't have an appraisal gap. But I have a widow who I need to make sure that we're getting her the best offer that she's going to make the most amount of money on, that's guaranteed. And if you're gonna offer me 505, that's fine and dandy, then I need a $30,000 appraisal gap.
At least.
Or I need an appraisal gap. Ooh, what's going on?
So it's funny. So David Dami, I'll never forget this. I don't know how many of you may have been in the office when Dave was there, but he's now got his own little independent. He's one of my favorite guys in the world. And he was the listing agent, and he used to have the office next door to me. By the way, it was Dave and Charles.
Oh, okay.
And so one day I hear Dave go, well, that doesn't sound like that's my problem. That sounds like that's a buyer's problem.
And see, I don't like that.
And so it was funny because I went over to Dave and I'm like, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, the appraisal came in short. I'm like, okay. And he goes, well, they offered it. I guess they got to figure out how to close the gap. Do I agree with what he said? No. However, there was a small piece of what he's saying that is, if you're going to offer me that kind of money and it doesn't appraise, because you had the same comps I had as a buyer, you should have known this wasn't going to appraise, and your tactic had better not have been to beat me up after the fact.
Exactly.
What's funny about how that happened is the buyer actually figured out how to close the gap because Dave took initially a stand. I know you not necessarily agree with the words he used, but I don't know what the relationship with the agent on the other side is, right? Because he's sassy like that and get away with it. But his message was good, right? If that house was worth whatever your number is, Amanda, 505, then you got to be prepared to do that. So I get it. It just was an interesting mindset that was different.
Interesting, yeah.
And then on our ranch, the beautiful ranch that you guys did the open house for us, we did get an offer yesterday. It was, the people were all about the house. They went and saw it twice, and second time with Nikki, and they brought their parents the second time, which I think is always a mistake. And they said, well, if we want the hot tub and the pool table, do we just have to offer like 20,000 over asking? So my seller got in his head, we're getting 20,000 over asking. They offered 20,000 under asking, and my seller was pissed. And I mean, this is a guy who told me he wanted 1.4 for that house, and I told him, I'm not listing your house. I told him his house was a 1.2. He wanted 1.25. He then said, I'll settle for 1.225 for the listing price. And we had no offers. So everybody said it was too high. At 1.2, we started getting some better traction. And I believe they're coming back today and giving us an offer price of 1.2. And his question to Nikki yesterday was, can we counter with more? They really love the house. And Nikki said, no, you don't have anything else to leverage it against.
Right.
So, you know, and he's, yeah. And he's like, well, you know, I really wanted more than that. I get that. I've told you from the get-go that this is where I think your house is worth. I'm actually, and I've been pretty spot on in a lot of stuff. So I'm so sorry, but I'm not, so anyways. And then we had people that came in from Idaho, see our $2 million property 3 times. The longest they were there was 2 hours for one of them. And then on Sunday, they were measuring all of the rooms for furniture.
They want it.
So
That sounds like a good thing.
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah. So and then we.
I think Amanda should go on vacation more often.
That's what I said to Nikki. She doesn't agree.
Yeah.
Well, she never called me. I told her I was just down the street and I would come help her, but she never called. So anyway, all right, who else has got good news to share?
She had it.
Sorry, there's one here too, Jamie. If you want.
Yeah, we've
There's like
added some power strips to that room and some microphones so that it's more usable. Any other good news, Sarah McConkey?
We had Sister's house up and we had 8 offers on Sister's house, ended up taking an offer above list. She didn't even take the highest price offer because same thing that Amanda was saying, I wanted to see appraisal gaps. I had run the numbers 5 bajillion times and I reached out to the top 3 people and they had waived certain contingencies. They gave part of their commission away. It was really crazy how competitive it got, but Sister's now under contract. On that house, we're looking for her replacement and I close on another one this week. So
And when do you hear back on the offer on the house in Erie for her?
we didn't get it and she's super pissy.
Do you know why?
Yeah, because they apparently supposedly went over by a whole lot too, even though we offered way above list. Apparently we just got beat out with appraisal gaps they couldn't do. They apparently got had a $50,000 appraisal gap.
Well, and you're such a new contingency, right? I mean, you had, that was definitely going to be, that hurdle will become less as you get through the process on the other one. So
Yeah.
nice. I love it. All right. Who else has got good news to share?
Well, Sherry and I sent an offer. Let's see, we sent one Saturday night for our first time home buyers, and we did not win. But we sent another offer yesterday, so hopefully we'll hear back by 5 today. And then we have a new 2-story coming in Spring Mesa mid-May. We're gonna go.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, so if anyone has any Spring Mesa buyers, it's got amazing views.
Love it. Hey, Stacy, really quick, only because I forgot, who's managing the contract email? Is Katie still doing that, or am I back on?
Yeah. I think Katie still is.
Okay, because 2 came in this morning because I see them on my phone. So,
Okay, I'll
okay.
check with them.
All right, what else? All right. Couple of save the date kind of things. Gotta find my calendar because otherwise I won't remember. May 17th, Coaching Skills Lab. So last 2 months 2 months ago, we did a live listing consultation with Heckenbergs. Last month we did a live buyer consultation with the Kesslers. And this month we are doing a mastery session off of open houses. Now, some of you are going to go, I know I do open houses. I do open houses really, really well. And my question is, are you getting a lot of business when you're doing the open houses? So the Lantern Home Group, who their primary lead generation source is open houses, are going to come in and teach us and give away to us how they market their open houses, how they act at the open houses, what their conversation scripts are with people, and their follow-up system, right? So they're going to give us everything for open houses because, and this is a general statement, I know there's some exceptions to this statement, but a lot of us are working a lot of open houses and we're spending a lot of time giving up our weekends doing open houses and we're not getting business, right? And so are we getting the right return on that investment of time? And so what I wanted to do is bring in a team who's doing that at a very high level to be able to teach us. So want you to be aware that that is coming on the 17th from 12:30 to 2:30 as I do my time conversion. Then Thursday, May 18th. Stacy, do we start at 4 or 5?
I think we said 4:30.
Okay. The exact details are coming. However, we're going to have
4:30 to 6:30.
We're having a coaching VIP event. Who are the VIPs? Hello?
The coaching clients?
You guys. You guys are the VIPs. So we're doing a VIP event and we're going to do several different things at it. One, I've started to hear as our coaching program has continued to grow and we have a lot of dual career agents and we've got now a second coach who's got her own roster. I hear these words, who's that? I don't know anybody anymore. I don't know anybody in the coaching program. I don't know anybody outside of, the 8 people that I see on Mondays. So we're going to invite all of the coaching team members into an event. And so you guys know me, if I'm having an event, what's going to be there?
Good food.
Great
Fun.
food. I
Fun
think
and
that
prizes,
Andy,
because I already heard this from my office.
Wait, there's prizes?
there's
Prizes.
gonna be prizes, there's gonna be games. I think that Andy might actually make a charcuterie board, and I don't know if you've all seen her charcuterie boards, but they are amazing.
Oh, they're pretty, but I will eat them.
They're pretty, but what?
I will eat them. She said they're too pretty to eat, and I said, yes, they are very pretty, but I will eat them.
Yes, and Amanda, do you know what she's working on now?
What?
How to do the individual charcuterie cups and make them look amazing. So,
I know
yes.
somebody that would be her best client.
You.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, so mark that. It's gonna be fun. It's just gonna be simple, but it's gonna be a great time to get to know other people. Because the more people we know, the better we are, right? Because as you guys are starting to get busier and busier and busier, sometimes you go, man, I need somebody to show a house, and you don't know who to call. Right? So getting to know some other people in the program. So mark that date and time.
Have our food truck that night. Sorry, we'll have to miss it.
Well, I guess you'll have to move this food truck.
Yeah,
They come to the food truck.
Or they
Sherry's
come
come to the food truck.
Sure. Yeah, bring the
Afterwards.
food truck to us. That'll work too. Okay. What's starting tonight?
Good night.
No.
What's starting tomorrow?
Ignite.
Oh, ignite. I thought you said Nick at night.
Nick at night.
We've got a few things, right? And, I know with you guys, your production levels are a little bit higher than many. But some of us aren't. Some of us are still trying to figure out how to go to the next level. And I truly believe the programs like Ignite and Bold will always help us go to the next level, even no matter where we are today. So we've expanded Ignite. It's a little insane, but you got coaches that are willing to do it. Monday and Wednesday night from 5 to 7, we have Zoom Ignite. You can be home in your PJs, you can be wherever you need to be. The only requirement is the camera has to be on. Okay, when the cameras are off, many times we lose engagement. To the point we're actually considering not only cameras on, but microphones on. So that way it would be like being in the room, right? Because it's so difficult when you're on Zoom and then you gotta find the unmute button and you gotta find the unmute button, right? So I do envision, Casey Fogelman's showing off.
Damn you!
She's already drinking too.
Where are you?
Yes, she is.
Where are you?
Bloody Mary.
Cabo.
I guess
I don't think I've ever got to do this before. Cheers.
Whatever.
You deserve it, girl.
We're drinking here too, Casey. Whatever.
You are? That's awesome. That's awesome.
I love it. I love it. I'm glad you joined, Casey, because I wanted you to chime in on a couple things. So anyway, Ignite Monday and Wednesday nights will be Zoom. Then on Tuesdays from 10 to 2 is in person only in the North office. There's not going to be a Zoom option. It's in person only. It's also 4 hours instead of 2. Why do you think I want you in person?
Because you love us so much.
Don't know.
We smell good because we can.
You smell good, but I get
We have
better
more fun
engagement.
when we're all together.
You
Yeah,
guys can work together.
You work together better. You will walk away with better stuff. The in-person is going to really work on habits and skills that we just can't do on Zoom in 2 hours. So, but the content is the same. Monday's content will be on Tuesday, Wednesday's content will be on Thursday. Except when we start hitting a couple of holiday weeks, but we catch up, we get them back online pretty quickly. So take some time. If your business is not where you need it to be, please, please, please take a moment, see if you've got the time to invest in either the evening sessions or the daytime sessions or both. Plug in and take your business to the next level. Okay? Questions? Who will I see there tomorrow? Yay. All right, Jamie. Yeah, Casey will be in on Zoom she'll be there next week when she gets back from the beach. So Casey, last week, you and I and Stacy and Diane were out seeing one of my favorite people probably in the coaching industry. And I would like for you to share with the rest of us who weren't able to go, what maybe you thought of the experience and what your number one takeaway was from that event, other than me getting called out by Jeff in the middle of the thing and not really being prepared on what I was going to say.
My number one thing is the realness of it. Like, he's an agent and he doesn't go up there and talk about anything unless he's done it and succeeded at it. So you have a backup that he isn't just throwing you something that he read in a book or got from another coach. He's lived it. And I think the fact is that you might be doing everything right and you feel like you're doing everything right, but going to see someone else that's a little different outside of the actual KW thing for me was big, because he can talk about an area in Detroit, which is not like Denver, and how they're successful there. So if it works there, it's got to work for us.
Love that. Love that. And he is a KW agent, by the way. He is actually,
Right. It's just,
he's
it's
coached
hard
by
to
Gary.
pick him. Yeah. And it's hard to think of that because of when he gets up and presents to you, he presents totally different and very specific things. And when something changes, like everything's changed from last year. So now all of our stuff's new. He went out and rewrote it all.
Yep. Hey, don't
So.
forget to send me that email with that stuff in it.
Yeah.
When you're done drinking.
Well, she told me she was going to send me something before she started drinking. So maybe she'll remember now. Okay.
You know, I got a contract under contract here. Oops, probably can't hear me. And now I'm getting ready to write another one. So I'm really not drinking that much, just so you'll know.
So,
Will you
this is
have
the
a drink
second
for
time
me
today
though?
I'm going to say this. Go
I
on
need a
vacation
drink.
and business happens.
That's what I put on my Facebook page. I have another buyer who saw a place he likes, but it's too expensive. And I said, well, that's good. Let's wait till I get back. Because it'll still be on the market and we'll worry about it then. So,
Love it.
hey.
So
Yeah.
what's the one thing from that 17-step thing? And by the way, you guys are all going to get the 17 steps, although I don't present them nearly as well as he does. But what would be the one thing you took away from last week that you're going to implement?
Wow, I don't know. That was a trick question.
It's all right. I'll just
I have to think
about
about
it.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Stacy,
Yes, ma'am.
now you came at that probably with a little different vision because you have coached with their director of ops, Taylor, and you've been to a couple of Jeff's things, but I think this one was a little different for you. What was your takeaway from it?
I'm always struck with how tactical he always is. And again, it was the same thing. He always gives you very tactical, very real, like, do this. Like, and if I, like, for instance, the social media thing, and he talked through, like, have a hook, have this, you know, like he gave you this formula. This is how you need to do a video. And he's like, I presented this exact same stuff. Here's the formula to all of our sales associates in our group and gave them all the assignment. 20 minutes later, they made this video. Here it is. And he showed us. And I'm like, okay, very tactical, very real, very just like, you do these things in this order and you'll make a great post. And they did. Yeah. So I'm like, all right. So now I'm like, how can I use that for us in our production business? But also I do, you know, I know you think about these things for coaching too. So I've been thinking about a few of those things on how I can support that for you. But as far as production business, it was probably, there's a variety of things, but that was definitely one that struck me like, here's a formula. boom, you're done.
And he gave us several, and yes, you are right, and Jeff knows that, is that I go there not just to learn for our own business, but also to bring back and share with all of you. Because
And
I know it's not always real for all of you to be able to go to these events, and so I'm always trying to figure out how to bring them. The one thing that Diane said to me is, that was funny, Margaret, but there are a few things he said that I've heard come out of your mouth before.
Well, there's a reason.
So that
Yeah.
way I was like, yes.
It came from our R&D department.
Yeah. And
Well,
I do,
actually, it was me internalizing some of the things that Jeff says.
yeah. And I would also say that it's interesting, like, even discuss, when you were talking with him after and you were like, yeah, I take these back, to my people, I coach all these people. And he's like, great. I mean, he's not like, yes, they have a business and yes, they sell things, they sell coaching and stuff like that. But he's like, he's not going, oh, I don't want you to do that. Like, he's very much, very open, very giving in that regard. So
Yes.
I don't know.
So Stacy learned when he was doing the social media piece, Stacy learned about hooks and content and all of that. And I learned about hamburgers and hot dogs.
oh yeah,
What?
he did say it weird.
I learned about hamburgers and hot
Well,
dogs.
Charles has been saying this too, but yes, but he doesn't say.
Well, but I
hamburger
don't take
hot dogs.
Charles's social media classes. So when you're shooting a video, you can either have your camera as a hamburger
Stacked this way.
or a hot dog. And
He
he
called
says
it
when you're
hamburger
shooting
or hot
video,
dog.
when you're shooting anything for social media, you want it hamburger
Just
style.
Not hot
So
dog style.
because everything's already pre-formatted for it.
Yeah.
That was what I took away. Now you heard what Stacy took away. I think that was probably more valuable, but that's what I remembered.
Always
I
this
think
way.
that my takeaway from this event was the podcasts. And one of the things that Jeff talked a lot about was mindset and keeping your mind right and keeping your mind in the game. And he talked about listen to one podcast a day. Just one.
Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, right? And so my first question is, I'm going to ask you all the same question he asked me. When you leave your house to go anywhere, how far is the drive?
30 minutes to an hour.
30 minutes to an hour, 15 to 20 minutes, right? To the grocery store?
Yeah, I don't
Right?
leave my dog.
Huh?
Unless I'm going to Lakewood, then 30 minutes.
Right. But even from for you, Amanda, to go to your house to the office is what, 12, 15
15.
minutes?
12 to 15 minutes, yep.
Okay. The average podcast is 15 to 20 minutes. So if you found 5 different podcasts that you liked to listen to that would help you with your mind, with your energy, with your business, if you listen to one a day in the car, over time, it would change, would help you, right? And that is one that I have gotten away from doing podcasts. And yet that is the stuff that when I was doing that on a high level, I was a different person. I was a better person on a lot of things. And so my thing is to re-identify who my five podcasts are going to be and who's my Monday, who's my Tuesday, who's my Wednesday, who's my Thursday, who's my Friday. Now, I'm that crazy person who wants to start from their very first one and not just where they are. So I'm going to get to utilize my 14 hours of driving over Memorial Day weekend to catch up on some of them. So, but who do you choose and who are your podcasters, right? So there's this guy named Gary Keller.
I was going to say, does Gary Keller have a podcast?
Gary has one called Think Like a CEO. He does it with Jay Papasan. They've just re-released the new season. So that's one. Yeah, you could go back and start from the beginning and it wouldn't take you that long to catch up. There is 4, well, Wendy Papasan is one of them, as is Sherry, what's her name, Reynolds, Sarah Reynolds, and 2 other women. They started a podcast called Empire Builders, right? We've watched them. I think Sherry saw them with us at Family Reunion that year that she went with us down there. I think we went to one of their workshops with the Empire Builders. They have a podcast. Jeff has a podcast, Live Unreal. You've got Ed Milet. There are a gazillion of these kinds of people who are either, you know, self-help, self-motivation, business stuff, all of that. Find one, and Gary's on Monday and this one's on Tuesday, and like, and just get into a routine. So for me, that was the one takeaway that I'm going to actually action. Now you all get to hold me accountable to it. Anyway, that's what I have for that. Anything else I missed, girls?
Well, there's a lot of stuff.
think
we can talk about, but yeah, go ahead.
Does he usually come?
I would add the double down on two things: double down on your database and double down on the number one source of your leads.
That's a great one. So what does that mean, Casey, when we double down on our lead source?
So if your lead source is, let's say it's calling your sphere, whatever, you're calling a few people, and you know, it only takes you like an hour and you didn't really get anything from that, then let's just step outside and door knock for an hour. Maybe you'll get somebody from there. So that's like going out and kind of sourcing, you know, your one source of getting your information, or you're getting your leads. And then the other one I said was, I might be drunk, I forgot. No, I'm kidding. What did I just say?
Double down.
Double down on what was the other one? Your lead source and your
Database.
oh, your database. So if you go through and you have your database and you kind of clean it out and, you know, get rid of the ones that you're not getting there. But if your database isn't working, then go out and get more. But the other thing is like, you just, whatever you spend time on doing there, just double it, do it again, only do it differently. If you text, then email. If you email, then call, like switch it up. I think I got that right.
Yeah, you combined a couple of them, but that's okay. But I love the double down. I forgot about that. So, so Jeff's circle prospect, he built his business off of circle prospecting and expireds. And so he would hit a certain community and he would pay for lists. So what he talked about twofold in that is that if you are getting a big amount of business from expireds, but I'm going to take it differently. I'm going to pick on Amanda today because it's her lucky day. Amanda gets a great amount of business working her geographical farm in Candelas. Can we all agree on that?
Yes.
Right. They actually took their first listing outside. Oh, not quite first, but one of the few listings they took outside of the Candelas 8000 geo. But are they doing everything they possibly can in there? Right. They're having success in there, but let's say they want to take their business up a notch. What else can they do within the Candelas community to get more business from a community that already knows and recognizes them, right? So maybe today they're doing open houses and they've got a really amazing social media campaign, but maybe their face-to-face interaction with people isn't where it needs to be. Instead of going out and moving to adding another community, right, or adding in expireds from all of Jefferson County, there's still more business to be had in Candelas. So maybe they would go door knocking. Maybe they would host more community events. Maybe they would do just one more thing in that community to grow their business. So Jeff's one, and I'm going to share something with you. And as a coach, my first brain was they'd all leave me. So I'm just going to tell you this. So Jeff worked expireds, and he also had a mission that he was going to close 100 units in a year as a fairly new agent. And in order to do that, they figured out that basically in order to accomplish it, he had to go on an appointment a day. Was that not pretty much what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. So he would prospect in the morning to set appointments for the future, either for that day or in the future. But if he didn't set an appointment during his 2 hours of prospecting time in the morning, in the afternoon, his motto was, if I didn't set an appointment today, what the heck did I do? Or something like that.
So
His coach, if he didn't set an appointment during his call prospecting, he had to go door knock for an hour. Okay, I saw Sherry's face. Okay. So, hey, Casey, Jeff made it pretty clear what he thought of door knocking. Is that his favorite lead gen source?
No, it is not. He hates it.
He hates it. So for him, it was the frog, right? it was the painful form of prospecting he did not want to do. So because he didn't want to do it, what would that naturally make him be like in the morning?
Busy, hard at it.
Purposeful, right? He would be much more
Really wanted
purposeful.
that
He would be much more
morning.
intense. He would be much more skilled, because the last thing the man wanted to do was go door knocking. But his coach said, if you don't schedule an appointment this morning, out you go for 1 hour. By the way, he got 18 pieces of business that year that he closed 110 units from knocking on doors.
Yep.
So let me ask you, what if I did that to you all? If I said, you don't get your 2 appointments this week, or your 1 appointment this week, and you got to go door knock for an hour, what would that do? Would I see a bunch of coaching terminations?
What's our
No.
penalty if we don't?
Well,
Right?
and he had penalties too.
Oh.
He's had different penalties in the past, right?
Oh, he's had penalties where he had to write really big checks,
Yeah.
right? I mean, Sue Venzel tells the story of a very young agent in our office at the time who's no longer with our office. But his was, he had to go door knocking 2 hours a day, twice a week. Because of his business model, well, actually just because of his sphere and some other things, the only way this young man was going to find business was to go out and find it. He
Right.
didn't have a big sphere. He didn't have a whole lot of people in his community that he could reach out to that wouldn't already be using his mom. So there you go. Now you can probably figure out who it is. All right. And so he had to go door knocking 4 hours a week, 2 hours, 2 sessions of 2 hours each.
Mhm.
The kid literally wore holes in his shoes.
Yep.
Right. And he still has that shoe to this day. But if he didn't go door knocking that week, he had to write a check for $250. So for
Mhm.
those of you brand newer agents who don't have a big business, $250 could hurt, right? Think back to when y'all first started.
Oh, yeah.
And for some of you, even today, if I said you have to write a check for $250, it would be pain, wouldn't it? By the way, that check was given to the coach in advance of $250. Oh, made payable to another agent in the office that he couldn't stand. And if this young individual did not go door knocking, the agent that he didn't like was going to get a check for $250 for his marketing. And the coach held the check. Think about that, you guys. Think about the level of accountability of writing a check to either an organization you don't support, or a political group you don't support, or another agent whose business. I mean, picking on Amanda, if I told Amanda, you're going to have to write a check for $500 and give it to me, payable to Heather Slump, and if you don't do this, I'm sending her the check. What do you think that would do?
I'd do anything to destroy her. I mean, not to give her that check. Mhm.
Right. Exactly. Right. So that's the kind of motivation and accountability. And this young man was a very successful agent and still is to the day. Right. But I love it. So the new rule is, if you don't prospect every day and hit your prospecting goals, y'all are going door knocking, except for Stephanie. And I'm going to make her cold call somebody.
Oh. It's like, oh no.
Stephanie will do the door knocking for nobody, for everybody else. But the accountability, right? I loved that. I love that. So that's what we learned, just some few tidbits and some doubling down and going to the next level. So things.
Mhm.
Before I move on, anything else on anybody's mind?
Can I ask a question that's unrelated?
Of course.
Well, it's related to real estate.
Yeah, it's all I care about.
If you had scheduled a showing at a home and it gave you like all the showing instructions, and then like an hour or 2 or so, you got a text from the agent that said, the doors are unlocked. Don't use the front door, use the sliding glass door. Would that make you nervous that you were leaving with, and don't lock the doors? Like, just leave everything open. Like that really got me, because I was like, maybe I don't want to go in that house.
I wouldn't want to go in that house.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
that
weird.
happened twice to me now, and I was like, okay. And then when I was there, I was like, well, she hasn't locked anything, and the thefts are really high there. So I don't know, like, I'm a little stumped on that one, because I had to go back, and she said, oh, same rules apply. The doors aren't locked. Just go ahead and go in.
Mm-mm.
God, is this woman never
Is
read
that
Info
house
Blood?
occupied by somebody? Like, do they have valuables in their house?
Yes, it's occupied, because the first day we got there, we were about 3 minutes early, and she was still home.
I
But then, you know,
probably
so-
that's like her managing broker. That'd be,
Well,
that's not okay.
and it's in Windsor Gardens, because you know that's pretty much where I live. But they've had like multiple break-ins and things stolen, and this is just open opportunity for anybody. Oh, and the unit sits right on the road, and I was like, now I'm responsible, I feel like, because I didn't lock anything when I left.
That's what I would feel like too, Casey. Yeah.
well, my biggest concern would be you have no idea who is in there when you're walking in. My self-safety.
Well, that's true too. Yeah. I was just curious, because it's never happened, never, and now twice in a row. I was like, you're doing it again on another property? Same agent. So, I don't know.
Hmm.
Just wanted some thoughts.
I have a question on
Well-
tact. Here's the deal. I got asked to do a second open house at a home I've already done, which I think is overpriced. But I'll do it because it's in Applewood, but I'm dying to ask if the seller would please clean up the entryway to make it look more like $1 million setting. And it's not like it's terribly dirty. It's just there's kids' coats hanging on a door rack. There's stuff outside on the patio that just makes it look kind of trashy. And this is a home that's been on market for a long time, where I'm gonna have to go door knock in other neighborhoods to get people over to it. And I don't want the curb appeal and the first impression to be this junk kind of just hanging around.
Okay, all right, so I'll go back to Casey first. Yeah, let me go back to Casey first. So Casey, I think on that one, I mean, I think that gives you the opportunity when you're doing listing consultations out there to talk absolutely about your passion about the properties being secured, and that you're not an agent who says, oh, the patio door is open, just walk in.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised that, knowing the demographic of the owners out there, and especially if they're living in the property, that they would be okay with it.
Bet you they
That's what I
don't,
was thinking too.
bet you they don't know.
But this lady who owns the house, she travels all the time. She's never there. That's why she's selling it. So I can tell you, after we met her and we had to go back and look again because she talked so much, we never even got a chance. She doesn't care about that place at all. She's ready to leave and get out of there. So she's, you know, she's fly by her pants. Oh, I'm going to travel and take this money and go, which is fine. But you're totally putting everybody else at risk, because now they can go into the hall and get into anyone else's apartment.
You know, I don't know what your relationship is with the agent, Casey.
I can't stand her.
Oh, it's your Heather. Okay.
My Heather.
It's your Heather.
Evil
I mean,
heavens.
on one level, I think it might be worth, because you own property there,
Right.
it might be worth just calling her. I mean, the worst thing that's gonna say is she's gonna tell you to mind your own business. But it might
Yeah.
be worth a professional phone call that just says, hey, I understand the simplicity of doing it this way. However, I own property in this community. My mother lives in this community. And as a community member, it makes me uncomfortable with the leaving of the patio door open, because now it gives them access to the entire building that is designed to be secured. Is there anything I can do to help you in the future with lock boxes or something, so that we don't have the patio doors just wide open for the public? And then if she gets snarly, then you've done the best you can. And then you either turn her into the HOA board, who will slap her down, or you
Yeah,
turn her into
right.
a managing broker. But I think in that case, there's probably, she doesn't want to go through the hassle of the multiple lock boxes or the security door here, the security door here. So it's easier to just leave the patio door open, but she's not thinking about it as someone who lives there, who's a resident.
Correct. Yeah. And I will probably do that because my client really wants to make an offer on it. So I'll probably do that after we make our offer.
There you go.
Agreed. But
Because I
I
was
just
like,
think
well,
my first instinct is that her thought is, well, my seller's okay with it, so it's no big deal. Right?
right. I'm sure she's maybe it came from the seller. Maybe the seller didn't want to have a lockbox or something. I don't know.
Right. So I would just, before I just started blowing up everybody else, I'd just have a conversation. And because
Okay.
you're both a professional and a resident, I think you bring a different vision to it that she probably hasn't thought of. Now, there again, you can see, kumbaya coach, right? Let's see if we can figure it out. And then if not, I probably wouldn't go to the managing broker. I'd go straight to the HOA.
Yeah.
Why the HOA?
Because it's supposed to be a secure building.
Oh, is it a condo or it's a townhome?
No,
Yeah,
it's
and she's the
condo.
number one agent at Windsor Gardens. Like she's
Windsor
the number
Gardens.
one agent there.
55+ community.
And then today, and I don't need to talk about this, but today my buyer who actually is interested in it sent me a picture of what was on her door. So there's the Grossman. Oops, sorry, I didn't say that. There's this lady's flyer on the door saying this is how we sell houses and this is how many we've sold. And I'm like, well, yeah, she is going to sell her house, but she's working with me because you saw her name on the buyer stuff. I mean, it's just like Cheryl texted me and she said, Casey, this was on my door this morning. They want to list my house. I said, well, flush it down the toilet. I don't know. Like, that's just ridiculous. She knows I'm working with you.
Is that
Like,
it was
sign?
just- It was just, I just totally put the icing
Is
on
she
the cake.
on
this morning. I
every
was like,
single door? No, probably
No,
not.
just hers.
Just hers, she said. Then
Then
that's sign
that's-
crossing.
Yeah.
and you're not supposed to
but
put
it's
things
not
on doors.
But here's the thing, it's not sign crossing because
No.
Casey does not have a for sale sign up. We only know, she technically only knows that Casey
Because
is
she's my
working with
buyer.
her as a buyer's agent capacity.
Yeah.
So there's no verification that she is a seller. So
And she's not, no one's supposed to put anything on the doors. It's supposed to be left in the lobby or you're supposed to get permission. So because she has a lockbox, she can get into that unit. Well, because she has 7 of them for sale over there. So I was like, this is making me mad. I don't even want to write an offer, but it's not about me. It's about my client. And she really likes this place. And I said, okay, I'm doing some comps this morning. I'm ready to write an offer. Let me know if this works. And I already told her, I said, we're coming in, but we're going to come in a little bit lower because, it's been on the market for 110 days and it doesn't have the doors on it. She can't get her walker through the doors. She's going to have those redone. And I was like, that's just how it is. So, and she said, just send an offer. We'll review it. So I will, but I just made me mad this morning. I'm like, now you're actually going one step beyond trying to get my client to list with you or whatever.
Yeah.
I was
Wow.
like, holy cow.
and
That's some
you're
guts.
right. It's not technically sign crossing. Is it something that I think if I look at every single one of you that's on this Zoom with me, that's not who we are.
No, I would
However,
never do
what
that.
But yes, and what she did though isn't illegal. However, if you do have a signed listing contract with that buyer, I would let her know that in a professional way as you're submitting the offer, just state in there. And as you know, she already, you can find a way to put in there that you're selling the
Yeah.
other property, but only.
Yes,
if you
no, I have
to,
a signed agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're on a signed agreement because we knew we were making an offer last week. So we had that done.
But do you have the listing agreement signed?
With the buyer?
No, to sell it.
Yeah. Yes. with
Oh,
that
I don't
same-
have that one. No, I don't have that signed yet, but that's because I didn't have time, but we'll probably have that on the market next week
Yeah.
first. Yeah.
Once
If
you
this
have a
sale goes
signed
through, then
agreement,
we're
I would
good.
Tell her.
Yeah. Well, I'm probably going to get that written up today because that made me mad.
There we go. Protect
we go.
ourselves. Love
So
it.
thank you for the support, but yeah,
course.
just not cool. Just not cool.
Yeah, it's not. So the $1 million house, we want to hold the open house. We'd like to have it, cleaned up and touched up a little bit. I think it's an interesting dance. I'd love to hear what your fellow agents how they would handle it before I say what I would do. So who has some thoughts on that one? Did you all hear the example that she gave?
Yeah.
And I'll either say nothing or I want to say something really tactful, or I could just potentially just pick up the coats and stash them away for the 2 hours that I'm there.
That's what I was just gonna say, because I would just pick that up and put it somewhere. And we did that at another open house. We put some stuff in the closet, and then when we were done, we brought it back out.
Yeah. I mean, I just feel like the house might sell if they just if it had more curb appeal, and I can't show up like Annette Bening in American Beauty and like do the landscaping before the open house.
Is that an open house with Keller Williams?
It's a Keller Williams Urban Elite, so it's a different
So,
office.
I think your goal is to get buyers, right? Not sell the
Yeah.
place. I mean, you want to sell the place, but you really want buyers. So you want to do it so you can get people in the house and have a good appearance, because they're going to remember you.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So Mara and Sherry, I saw you guys having a sidebar conversation about it. What are your thoughts about Stephanie's dilemma?
We're just laughing about this most recent one we have under contract. Every time we'd go there for the open house, which was like 5 of them, she'd put this crazy little like Twilight Zone doll back out.
The doll.
It
Yeah.
was freaky. And she'd put it out every time, and we'd put it in different places, like in the storage in the basement, in the closet. she'd bring it back out. Anyway, no, we would just put that stuff away if it's something smaller like that. But if it's something that they need to clean up, we've either done a checklist and said, when it's our client, but if that's not even her client, maybe she could go to the listing agent and ask them to reach out to them. Or for us, we do a checklist and just say, can you just pack all this stuff up so people can see it as their own instead of, somebody else's.
I haven't been to the house in a couple weeks, and I'm tempted maybe even just to say, hey, have they put any, are there any plantings in the front? Does it look any different from the curb? I mean, I don't know. How subtle should I be? I mean, I'm gonna do the open house either way. I just would like people not to drive off when they see the front of the house.
I think it's all how you word it.
Yeah.
It's how you present it,
Yeah, I mean, if it was my house, I would have had the owners do a lot in the front, but.
Well, maybe, but maybe they're not able to.
Yeah.
Right? We don't always know what that seller's situation is either in their ability to do something, right? So, I think if you were going to address it with the listing agent, I might start it with, hey, I know I was out there a couple of weeks ago. I don't know if you've been out there by there recently, right? Because on one level, the listing agent may not know what he or she doesn't know, right? And so it could be the listing agent has no idea that when you show up to do an open house, there's kids' clothes everywhere and the front porch hasn't been swept in a month and that type of stuff. She may not even know that, or he.
Okay.
So I would probably approach it as a partner and just say, hey, I don't know if you've been out there, but I noticed when I did the open house last time, there were a couple of little things that I thought was just a little different. It was not as I would have expected based on the rest of the house. Right. And so then you can just share it and not say you have to do, right? But hey, I don't know if you were aware, but this is what I observed. So I happen to be very familiar with the house that Casey's talking about. It was a Keller Williams agent, actually one that I know, as does Casey. And they walked into a house that basically was in no condition for an open house. Ooh. And it was a hot mess. It had just recently come back on the market. There was some dog crap in the house. There was clothes on the bed. Like, it was not ready. They were unable to reach that said listing agent. So they did the best they could, held the open house. And then the next day, when somebody else did a follow-up open house, the listing agent got out there and got it addressed. But I think you just have to be super tactful and come at it as a partner and not as I would do.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
What is that, Missy?
Tyranny is That's what scares Sherry, but it didn't scare me quite so much.
Oh,
know.
that's a creepy doll.
Yeah, it's on a high stool. It kept it every time we walk in the house, it's back. It like freaked me out.
Oh my God, that is awful. That is awful. Hey, Sarah, didn't your house have all those body parts and stuff in that pool area, like the doll heads?
Oh yeah, the hoarder house
Yeah,
by the
that-
pool
See?
had a
I didn't
bunch
even go
of
in the
like,
pool.
yeah, that was
No,
creepy.
no, creepy.
Creepy. All right.
Creepy, just a warning to everyone, when I took the elevator up to the 3rd floor, the doors wouldn't open. And so I got down to the 2nd floor and then came up the stairs. So I'm going down the stairs.
Yeah, somebody got stuck in the elevator this morning.
Okay,
Stacy.
and
We
it
heard
was
from someone
definitely
else.
still working weirdly.
Okay.
Okay, that's creepy too. That's scary too.
The far one.
Yeah, the left one.
This one up on the side, yeah. to the
Yeah, but
north.
then there was the day that Sarah and I couldn't get in at all because the elevators weren't working at all. And Sarah and I had to try and figure out how to get in from the outside up to the 3rd floor, which is really climbing not 3 levels but 4. And yeah, that was a little bit of an adventure because we didn't know where the side stairwells were. So we had to climb up through the road, through the construction on the other side of the building. So I'll let Stacy figure that out. It'll be fixed by the time I get back. So all of you need to eat more breakfast burritos that are there. So we had an event this weekend. I think we learned a ton. We will share it with you next time because I want to coordinate some of my thoughts with Stacy. But for the first Stratathon ever held by anybody that I'm aware of in our office, I would say that there was a lot of room for improvement.
Yeah.
And I would do it again in a heartbeat. So I think that's where I'll leave it for now. But anyway, come back next week. I want to talk and kind of brainstorm that out with all of you. Because I think if my number one takeaway is, if you're going to do big events, partnering with other people, you can still advertise it as your own and make it more cost effective. So just some ideas there. So anyway, I will talk to you all later. Stacy, I'm seeing more emails coming in off of that one email address. So I'll let you and Katie run with it. I love it when 2 people come to me and say, you've had enough and we're taking over, and they slap me every time I text them. Say, did you see? So awesome. Well, call us if you need anything. I'll be back in the office on Wednesday. And you guys have a great week. Casey, man, that's a blue sky and I am jealous.
Enjoy.
It is, but it's really, really windy here. Like it's windy.
Awesome.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. We'll see you later.
Hey, is it windy?
Have some more drinks. You won't feel the wind.
All right, well, while we've been sitting here, it's so funny when you do these spreadsheets, how slowly the cream rises to the top.
Right,
So.
Oh, it's not slow. You're going to have to end it on your end, Stace.
I will.
All right. Let the cream rise to the top, Amanda, and great job on all of your offers.
Thanks. Yeah, no, so this one offer